In the previous video we read the Sudoku table in this array of strings, and now we like to start doing the tests. And the easiest test is to check all the rows. And as you can see, for one row we have a string of digits as being the representation for a row. We know that we must have 9 digits in the string. And basically what we want to see is that we don't have duplicated digits. So let's do a method that will receive such a string, such a row or set of numbers, and we'll check that is a valid sequence. So um, we can make it public or private, doesn't matter. Let's say that we may want to reuse it in other places. Now, must be a static method. That's what we learned up to now. And it will return a Boolean. It will return true or false, depending if it's a correct or not row or sequence of digits. So let's name the method check set, because I don't care what set it is, it's just a set of digits that I want to check, of 9 digits. Doesn't matter that they appear on a row, they appear on a column, they appear in a square. I want to check a set of 9 digits that they are correct based on the rules, and this set will be provided as a string. Now, the next element is how I am doing this test, how I will test that I don't have such duplications. And we'll use a marker. Again, we'll use a marker that will keep if I met a digit or not, except 0, I will ignore zeros. And if I double find any number, means it's not a correct set. If all the numbers appear at most 1, then I have a correct set. So let's define a Boolean marker, and let's name it found, and initially none of the numbers is found, and here we may use either 0 to 9, which should be fine, or 0 to 8 to represent the numbers 1 to 9, or we can use 1 to 9 to be the exact index and define the array of 10. So we'll ignore the first position 0, that is not useful for us. So let's use the second one because it's much easier for you to understand. The optimal one is to declare just 9 digits and make the conversion each time, marking the array with 9 elements. And we may implement that one as well if we want to. Now let's initialize this. By default it's initialized with false, but I always prefer to show explicit initializations because this will help you better understand what values do you have in this array. So initially there is nothing found, and what we'll do next will be to go through all the characters in the set that we receive. So for all the characters, we'll start with the first character, we'll go to the set.length, and we'll increase. And what we want to see, first of all, if we like to take the digit. So let's take the digit. Let's put D from digit. And what we like to extract from the string is the digit. And to extract the ith character from this string, we'll use char at I, This will give us a character that is on that position, but if we want the value, we'll need to subtract the character 0, and this will give us the value that is on that position. Now, this value, if it's 0, I have nothing to do, it's just ignored. Any 0 will be ignored. And I can use a command which is continue that will just go back to the 4 and go to the next value of I. Now, if it's not 0, I will need to check to see if this value was found before or not. So if I found before the value d, means I am in trouble because I found it twice. So I will return false because the value d appears twice in the array. Now if I don't find the value d twice, means I found it first time, so I want to mark that I found it. So I mark the marker for d true, and I will repeat to look for the next values. Now if I finish all the digits from my set and I don't find any duplicate, then means that it's a good set, the checked was true, and I return true for my result. Now let's see how this works, and let's write the documentation of this method. Check if the set is a correct Sudoku set, which is all digits from 1 to 9 appear at most once. So 0 sure can appear a string of 9 digits, 0 for empty space, and return true if a correct Sudoku set. So that's what my method will do, and in order to test it, let's call it, and the easiest way to call it is for checking all the rows. And what we'll do, we'll just take all the rows from the first row to the last row, and keep in mind row here it's the index. For the user it will be row plus 1, the external row. And what I want to do is to check the set for my row. So I have a string there, and if it's not a good set, if I find not a good set, I can always stop and write an error message. For instance, I can write error row, and here I will put r plus 1, and then I'll continue. My message contains duplicated values, duplicated digits. So I just try that this is not right, and I can return, I can finish my program here, because it's enough to find one mistake and my partial table is not correct. So I will report only the first mistakes that we found. So let's check now that all the rows are correct. Sure, if they are correct, I would also like to print something to show that they are correct. The partial table is correct. So let's see now that it's working. And as you can see, the partial table is correct. Now if I want to invalidate this, it's very easy. Let's put here 1. So this will mean that the first row will not be correct. So let's run again. So error row 1 contains duplicated digits. So it worked. It signals that my partial table it's not correct. It is not correct partial Sudoku table. So this will conclude the first part where we check all the rows. What we'll do in the next video will be to see how we can call this method to check the rows based on a set of digits for the columns and squares.